Welcome to the Genuinely You podcast channel, which is packed with advice and tips on how to live your life with purpose. Do you wish you felt happy and fulfilled? Are you feeling stuck, wishing things could be better? Are you ready to take some action and create the life you want? To start living an empowered life, you need to recognize and make full use of the power and freedom that comes from being genuinely you. Your host is Gina Gardner, a #1 best-selling author whose whole life has been about supporting people to achieve personal empowerment, helping people just like you recognize that they can.
Panic attacks. A number of my clients come to me because they're experiencing panic attacks. They describe how it feels dreadful, as if they're going to die, that they're over-breathing. And today we're going to look at some strategies to deal with those. What is important though is not only do you deal with the panic attack itself, but you actually look at the underlying cause. Today the strategy is around managing the panic attack itself, because to deal with your specific cause, you need to have some one-to-one with someone who can help you. So what's going on? A panic attack actually triggers the flight or fright mechanism. If you remember an earlier video when we talked about what is stress and anxiety, we talked about how an animal would run to escape. Whether it's a wildebeest escaping from a lion or a deer from a fox, the situation is exactly the same in you. Part of the strategy I'm going to talk to you about is actually recognizing firstly that this is not life-threatening. It's a natural response to a threat which has got out of order, it's got too big. So first and foremost, remember, no one has ever died from having a panic attack. It's really helpful to keep track of how often you're having them. Keep a diary, not only how often you're having them, but what severity. I ask clients to gauge these out of 10. 10 is the mother of all panic attacks, and 1 is that you're feeling calm. Tracking them can help you recognize what triggers them. And if you can recognize what triggers, then you can do something about it. So tracking is really important. That will also help you discover what progress you're making for dealing with them. Not only are they less frequent, but are they less severe? So let's look at the practical activities that you can take that will actually help you manage that panic attack. And the first one is concentrating on your breathing. When you're in the middle of a panic attack, you breathe very shallowly. Ultimately, what happens is that the balance of the gases in your blood gets out of kilter and it makes you feel absolutely dreadful. So slowing the breathing down, thinking about breathing all the way down to your stomach rather than allowing the very shallow breaths that you'll be taking to continue is really, really helpful. Breathing in to 4, breathing out to 4, and just slowing it down can really, really help. Imagine yourself breathing down all the way to your knees and allowing that breath to go down and then come up. Doing 4 huff breaths, whereas you take a deep breath in and you breathe out till it actually huffs. And doing 4 of those. All of those will help you to rebalance. Now, if because of your over-breathing you're starting to feel dizzy, a really useful technique is to get a brown paper bag, and it must be paper and not plastic, and breathe into the bag, holding it, just breathing in, breathing out into the bag, and breathing the air that's in the bag. And that will help you regain the balance of the gas in your blood. Don't use a plastic bag, that's dangerous. But have a brown paper bag. You can have one in your pocket, one in your handbag for whenever you need it. Rather than talk about my panic attacks, making those your identity, one of the things that clients have found really helpful is to give their attacks a name. Create a persona for the attacks that's outside you. So when you're having one, you can say, oh, I've just got a visit from a Fred or a Bert or a Patronella or whatever you want to call the name. Creating that it's just a Fred takes away some of the pressure. It makes it outside yourself. And it's really helpful if you use that with the breathing. Score your just Fred or just Bert out of 10. This is a 10 Fred, which means it's really, really powerful, it's difficult, or is this a 5 Fred? The next strategy is to use a distraction. When you feel a panic attack coming on, and you must know when those are coming on, there will be warning signs. So get to know what those warning signs are, and then use a distraction. Go and do something else. Take a walk, make a cup of tea, do the Ministry of Silly Walks. Anything that will change your physiology and gives you something else to focus on. Keep a diary of panic events. Look at what it is that you're panicking about. Look to see if there are patterns, because if you can see the patterns, that can enable you to then deal with the underlying thing more easily. Now, there is actually a situation when people will have the underlying cause. For example, one client, the underlying cause of her panic attacks was the fact that a very close friend had died and her mother had contracted cancer within weeks of each other. Her panic attacks were associated with, if I'm not with them, they might die. But what triggered her attacks was going into new situations. So the underlying cause and the trigger could be the same, they may be different. But recognizing what they are, recognizing how frequently they're coming is helpful. Using the strategies, particularly It's Just a Fred, to downgrade those panic attacks into an anxiety that's more manageable to deal with. I do think it's important, if you're having panic attacks on a regular basis, get some help. You don't have to suffer them. There are lots and lots of ways that you can be helped. Panic attacks are giving you a very, very loud message. Do something differently. Take control. It's time to take some action. If you need some help, let me know.
You've just been listening to another great Genuinely You podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Genuinely You is a culmination of Gina's work, spanning over 30 years, of helping people learn what makes them feel happy and truly fulfilled, and how to achieve it. Please visit genuinely-you.com today to find out more.